All right. As I usually do, don't want to ignore the last game. We try to put it to rest usually on Sunday. And, as a whole, when you went back and looked at it, it wasn't a lack of effort. Our kids played hard. I love the guys that sit in these seats in here. I can tell you that. They got a lot of toughness and a lot of grit to them. And I love those guys for the efforts they give, and they never quit. And, did we make enough plays offensively or defensively? No. But, to go out there, sit in a dungy locker room for an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever it was, I give our kids a lot of credit because they came out and really played defensively a great second half, except for one play, and that's what it'll cost you. And offensively, I thought we played a great first half and not as good a second half. So there's so many things that we can still correct and get better at. But again, I'm going to go back and give Oklahoma State, credit for what they did and how they do it. They got obviously a top 20 football program. I believe they'll finish there based on the way that quarterback can throw. I think I told you last week that he was an NFL guy, and then after seeing him live, I don't think there's any question. And they got some NFL wideouts and Big 12 wide receivers that can get up and go. And there's things that we could do better on defensively, not only fundamentally but structurally, and that's why we coach. So with that, North Carolina, we get to go travel down there, 3:30 game against a great football team that was a coastal champion a year ago. They don't lose much either way. I mean, the quarterback graduated, but they got 4 of the 5 offensive linemen back. Elijah Hood is a great tailback. We know Switzer's out there, the receiver. And Mitch Trubisky, a kid from Mentor Lake Catholic, offered him, when he was a senior out of high school. He's a great player. I mean, a really good, really, really, really great player. I got a lot of respect for him. And he's played a little bit last year and has 3 games under his belt. Very efficient running the offense. And then defensively, Gene Chizik and always does a great job. They're athletic. I think Stewart and Lawrence are the 2 corners that are lockdown guys. They'll hold you a little bit out there, but they're on you. Very well coached, very athletic. They got 2 D tackles, the Jones and Bart kid, good players, and then 2 good linebackers, Smith and Collins are their guys. They're bell cows on that side of the ball. So they're very athletic on defense. Probably blitzing a little bit more than he did a year ago. So they've heated up a little bit there. But he's we know Gene Chizik's a great football coach. I think Larry's got a lot to do with the offense, being that they've got new offense coordinators and the offense looks exactly alike from what we saw a year ago. It'll be a great challenge to go down there. The Coastal Division champion a year ago. That's our goal. That's where we want to be. And the first ACC team you're playing is the best one in that division. So it'll certainly be a great challenge. We look forward to going down there. So, questions?
You talked about fundamentally and structurally they need some changes, some improvements in defense. What could you embellish that a little bit?
Fundamentals and structure. I mean, sometimes we could change the coverage up a little bit, which we did. Obviously didn't do it quite enough or early enough. And we had some things that we maybe didn't use, we should have or could have. And that happens in every game. Every game I've ever coached in, you always, you can always look back. And like I said after the game to our kids, and I told them last night, hey, it's 38-38 with 2 minutes to go in the game, and we haven't played great, okay? We haven't played great. So, we got a chance to knock them out. We got a chance with 2 minutes to go. And, you go on the road in a different atmosphere and sit in a dingy locker room for 2 hours and still get to 38. And if you told me we could be 38-38 with 2 minutes to go in the game, I'd say let's just play the last 2 minutes and let's go. I'd have taken that because it's a good football team. We've got a lot of respect for them. So fundamentally, play with good technique. Don't get frazzled. One goes over the head. The first one's a communication. The first play of the game is a communication error. It's not a coverage error. It's not a physical error as far as he ain't good enough to cover the guy. It's a coverage bust and a lack of communication, which will drive you nuts as a coach. But sometimes what the tempo does, whatever. Maybe it was the atmosphere. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't us in that play. And fundamentally, we got to play a good technique. I think that's what we play on the offensive line with good technique. That's what we try to play at tailback or receiver. You better have good technique as you're releasing, and you better play good technique when you're playing against great wideouts. And I don't think our technique was where it needed to be.
You said after the game that the struggles in the passing game were attributed to their talented defensive backs. When you went back and watched the film, what were your thoughts?
They're talented. I'm not going to take anything away from who they are, but we missed some throws. We missed some reads, especially on some third and medium calls when we can stay on the field and keep them off the field. We didn't put the ball where it needed to at time, but we missed in the fourth quarter a ball to Jester Wea that we just got to make, and we don't make it, but we're not going to make every throw either. Quarterbacks can't be perfect, and Nathan, he managed the game well. I mean, when you talk about the opener wasn't as well managed, regardless of what we were doing offensively. Wasn't as well managed, a below average day for him. But he's played above average to winning the last 2 weeks, and if he continues to do that, we'll connect on some of those passes, and but we can't leave it up to just that third down pass. So we can blame one guy, but it takes 11, and again, the blame is in this whole room. Okay, as far as our players and our coaches, it's all we win together and we lose together, and that's it. But North Carolina is a damn good team. I can tell you that.
Yeah, and it's a team that they hit some big plays offensively in the passing game last week. I know James Madison is not Oklahoma State necessarily, but I mean,
Right.
How do you go about, getting guys? I mean, it's a lot of yards you've given up the last couple of weeks. How do you make sure that your DBs' confidence stays up? And that
We just got to keep coaching them, and they got to understand. They got to have faith and belief in what we're doing. They got to understand that it works when you do it right, okay, and it doesn't work if you don't do it right. So it's either your way or our way. Which one are you going to do? And if you continue to do it your way, then we're going to have problems. And if you do it our way, you got a chance. But just flip on the tape and watch when we're successful and we cover the guy. What did you do right? Okay, you played with good technique. And then when you don't win the play and they get you, what did you do wrong? And it's very evident that the kids can go, oh, okay. So is it lack of focus, lack of fundamentals? Those are all things. And again, is this the first football team or corner or safety or defense I've seen do that? No. It happens. That's why we coach. If it was easy, everybody in here would coach, but it ain't easy. And that's why we coach, because those problems are going to happen. And that's really the challenge of coaching. That's why we like to be where we are. That's why we coach. So it's fun.
How do you coach a guy on a mental level like Avonte Maddox, who took responsibility on his own shoulders? He felt so bad after that game.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something? Is there a fine line there for you as a coach, for someone to be able to look in the mirror and see what
The first thing you got to do is be able to admit that, hey, I didn't play great, and I didn't play with great technique, so that's Avonte. Now, we'll bring Avonte back. That's part of it's part of coaching. But, he's a great kid, and he's got a lot of talent, and he's one of our best corners when he plays with fundamentals. And I don't worry about Avonte, okay? I don't worry about him at all. I think you'll see a different guy that'll come out and play a little different ball game this week with a chip on our shoulder. So I don't worry about Avonte.
What you had said earlier, previous answer about how just easy everybody would be coaching, is it particularly difficult in college football with a minimal amount of games to react to the outside response from the fans and the media? There's so few games everybody reacts. Has every loss is a program defining defeat?
Yeah. Well, I hope not, because I don't read the newspaper. I don't hear what you're saying. I don't care what you say. I hope Juan back there is not listening to it, or I'm not going on reading Twitter and all that notification stuff. I ain't doing it. After a win or loss, because it's be humble or be humbled. So I don't read the good or the bad, and really, it doesn't matter. I mean, we went out and played a good football team, and we didn't play our best, but still we're in the game, and that's all that matters. And our kids will move on. We're pretty resilient, I think.
It's still early in the season, kind of, but do you feel like if you're going to...
Kind of. We haven't even started the ACC play yet.
Right, but...
True.
But
Go
if
ahead.
you feel like you're going to win this division, are you looking at this as a game you have to have? Are they the team to beat?
I mean, I would say because of the defending champions of the Coastal that they are the team to beat. But I'm not going to throw everything in one basket. I mean, the Coastal Division, the Atlantic Division could be a one-loss team, period. And so you never... I mean, who knows? You said it's not the end of the season, it's not the beginning. It's just starting ACC play. So to say that the both Coastal and Atlantic Division champions going to be, have that 0 in the loss column is, who knows? I mean, when you want to start to feel bad, look at Florida State, what happened to them this weekend, okay? I didn't get to watch the game, but I'm just looking at the score going, holy cow, what happened, okay? And then, now you think Jimbo Fisher's going to, start to go, crawl underneath the podium here and say it's over? Oh my gosh, we lost a conference game. I don't think so. So I don't think one game, in conference or out of conference, defines you as a football program or define your season.
What do you think's enabled this team and this program over the last year to be able to kind of bounce back, especially in the second half when things don't, the opponent gets a big play?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I told you I love this football team because these guys will fight. Do we do everything right as coaches? No. Do we do everything right as players? Do we make the plays? Do we make the right calls? No. There's a bunch of calls on both sides of the ball that you take back and shoot. I wanted to go for it on fourth down. We shouldn't have punted it. But you know, there's so many calls you take back and wonder, you know, coulda, woulda, shoulda, you know, the great thing about this football team is they will fight to the end. Regardless of what the situation is. And you're down by 14, these guys don't care. We continue to fight, and they know, I think they believe that, you know, any game can be ours. And we just got to, you know, play 60 minutes. But we got to put 60 minutes together as a whole. Like, you know, I think our offense and defense played one good half opposite of each other. We got to put those, you know, 4 good quarters together. And that's a challenge. Nobody plays 4 great quarters, but if we can play 3.5, that'd be better than, you know, just 2.
You were next to the last possession. You were moving away from the running, from the passing game. And what were you thinking there?
Second to last?
When it was tied, James started off with a 21-yard run.
Yeah.
And then it was run. After that, you were on third down.
Right.
What were you thinking?
Because our run's been pretty good and pretty successful, you know. We're going to continue to run the ball. You know, I think James missed a little hole on Woodham. If he keeps it going outside, maybe we're a little bit different than where we're sitting today. But you can look back and look at all those plays. And that's why I said there's plays missed all over the field here. And again, it's execution and fundamentals and doing what the play asked you to do first. Don't dance around. And that's no disrespect to James. He had a heck of a game. He missed some things too, just like a quarterback's going to miss some and the receiver's going to drop one or run the wrong route. I mean, it happens at times. There's a lot going out on the field.
Pat, you like to bring pressure when you can, but when your secondary is struggling, does that sort of winning those one-on-one matchups, do you have to sort of change tactics a little bit?
No, not really. I mean, when we bring pressure, you know, that gives them a little relief. Okay, when we play base is when they're, you know, pretty much out there on an island. But, you know, and again, go watch college football. Go watch pro football. I mean, those corners are out there. I don't care if you're in man coverage, if you're in thirds, or if you're in read cover 2. They're on an island out there. Eventually, they got to make a play on the ball. So it doesn't matter really what the coverage is. It's hard to give them help all the time. And, you look at the scores being scored on Saturdays. You know, you got offensive line running down the field 5 yards, and they're still throwing the ball. There's issues with these run-pass conflicts, and that's what you're dealing with, and that's why you're seeing points being scored like they are. Those guys are going to be on an island out there, and I don't care what it is. So when you ask a question about pressure as opposed to playing base, you know, our corners get relief, but then, you know, their quarterback is a good quarterback, so when he sees the corner bail out playing zone, then all of a sudden you're getting the 5-10 yard out, the 10-yard comeback, and everybody's going, why don't you press up? You got to get closer. And as soon as you press up, then the guy runs by you. So pick your poison when they got good receivers and the quarterback's on target. Matter of fact, I don't know what play it was, 55 or 56 in the game. I wrote back and said, I wrote on my call sheet that I take notes on. I said, quarterback is human, because he had a human error, and I didn't see many of them in the first half. The guy was on fire. He wasn't on fire in the second half, but that's with the pressure and put a couple hits on him can do to a guy. And, you know, we got a little bit of pressure on him in the second half, but, he I guess he was human, but not only for a couple plays was he human.
You know, the Penn State week, you had said, where's the effect, your kids understood the importance of the game was being played for the state of Pennsylvania and all that, but you also didn't want them to get such a grand picture of it that if it had gone the wrong way, that their season would be over. But we were saying before, it's just the start of the ACC season. Now, is this the game specifically that you had in mind because North Carolina is the reigning conference champ and so forth?
I have in mind for what?
Put that message about how important it would be to.
It's another game. I thought about closing you guys out today, but I thought you guys would be mad at me. But it's a big game. But you know what? It ain't no bigger than Oklahoma. We wanted Oklahoma State real bad too, and our guys were locked into it. But this game's, I think the question was asked: is this the, is it the game? If you don't win this game, it's over. No, and I don't think Florida State feels the same thing either. Florida State will be in it. They're still going to go battle, and they'll have their interconference. They still got to go play Clemson. And if they beat Clemson, all of a sudden you got 2 guys with 1 loss. And I think the same thing will happen in the Coastal. It won't be, there's nobody perfect out there.
Closing us out from you too, or just the players?
What's that?
Closing us out from you too, or just the
No,
players?
I would never do that. I would never just.
You had 25 yards from the running backs not named James Conner. I mean, part of that was you were behind and you were throwing the ball, but you didn't use Quadri Olson at all. Do you feel like you need to see more from those 3 guys?
We didn't use Quadri Olson at all, you said?
I didn't care.
Yeah. Quadri, we got Shantez Moss in the game. and Darren Hall had a good a couple good runs, but it's just a matter of not wearing out your dog. That guy's, he caught that one pass with an arm around his neck. They're all over him, in the run and pass, but we want to get those other guys involved. And Quadri's out there quite a bit. Maybe didn't get the carries. It's all based on the read and what we're doing and what they're doing defensively. So I wouldn't have, I don't look at those stats, I guess, like you did. I didn't know Quadri wouldn't have had a stat, but I know he played. And it's being unselfish and doing what you need to do. But, we had some decent runs when those other guys got in the game, too. So, but we want, we got to keep James fresh. He gets tired. I think you can see it sometimes, and we got to keep him fresh.
Since Dante's out, Pat, how much concern do you think is
You know what? You always get concerned with depth and who's out there. We'll have Dantes back, sooner than later. And when you look at it, Trey Tipton played a pretty solid football game out there. He's got some wheels, he had a couple nice catches. He had a great fourth down catch, we just got it's the next man up, and some other guys got to step up. Aaron Matthews will have a little bit more extended role this week as well. So,
when you say sooner rather than later, what kind of time frame do you have?
I ain't going to talk about it because it's kids and they all heal different.
What's your assessment of North Carolina's defense? They're allowing almost 5 yards per carry. What have you seen? They've got they got some good players. I can tell you that. You give James Madison. I attribute it to a lot of spread offense. I see the yards are just astronomical when I look at some of the things opponents were playing, or just look at college football in general. The points, not only that, or in the yards, and we talked about that already. So. I attribute to people doing what they can do on offense to gain a yard, get a first down. I think Gene Tizik's about as sound a defense coordinator. He's a bend not break guy. He's very, very sound. They'll come in here, they'll be ready for us down there. They'll have things ironed out and be very, very sound. That's what he is.
The benchmarks that all coaches use, if for limiting opponents to X or whatever, as the game has changed over the years, as the tempo has gone up, as guys are running 85 plays instead of 60 plays,
Yeah.
Have you adjusted what's, quote, I don't want to say acceptable, but what sort of those?
Yeah, you
benchmarks are?
adjust it every year. Shoot, when I first got to Cincinnati and really got to Michigan State, until I told the head coach, our goal defensively was to hold them to 13 points a game. It's like, you can't win a game if you hold them, it's just not going to happen. Those all go, and again, they're all stats. What you get disappointed is, the things we talk about critical to winning is turnovers. You end up we're +2 for the whole game until 50 seconds to go, or whatever, 30 seconds to go. We're +2. When you win the turnover ratio, you usually win. You get a block punt, and you usually win. We stopped the run for the most part. When you talk about stopping the run and being able to run the ball, we ran the ball offensively for 280 whatever yards. But defensively, we gave up one run, which they would have had about 40 yards rushing. But the one run was a touchdown, and that's the points you lost by. And you can pick on that play, and you can forget all the big passes, but you better stop the run, and we didn't do that. And we're built to, just an error, just missed tackle and a misfit, okay? But there's so many things that you can do, but offenses are scoring points, and there's a lot, but I don't look at the numbers. The numbers don't matter. It's that W that you'd like to get.
Any final questions for Coach? These days, do you really think you need to score 30 points to win? Do you feel that way sometimes?
Yeah, offensively, we scored 31 the other day, and that wasn't enough. So, the goal was to score more points than they score, and it doesn't matter. And you put goals, it's really score enough to win.
What about, you said structurally and fundamental changes on defense?
I told you we're going to have a clinic. We can talk structure all we want. We have to have a clinic.
What about personnel changes on defense? Any of those?
No. For what? Can you play corner?
He had my nose guard last week.
Avonte Maddox is our best corner. Ryan Lewis is playing really well, and it's our job to coach him up, and I got complete confidence in both those guys. So feel really good about that.
Last one to Jen.
Sorry, just logistically, how do you manage Jordan Whitehead's time in terms of understanding the offense as much as he needs to know and what he's doing on defense?
Well, again, I don't want to say he's got an easier job on defense, but he knows what he's doing. You try to manage that, and that goes to maybe some of your communication errors. Where is he not over there enough? Is he over there too much?
you know, and again, when he gets the ball in his hands, he's explosive. He's fun to watch. You know, defensively, you know, we have a mental breakdown, a communication error, and you know, and again, it's that group, it's the secondary as a whole not communicating together with the backers, and you know, we got to do a better job at that. You know, he might get less carries. He might get a little less carries unless he knows how to, you know, communicate with his buddies over there.